Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boy.
Today, young adults are still living with their parents. Yay, shouts out to young adults, man. Y'all know what I believe in? I believe that you should stay with your parents as long as possible. That way you can actually get to that bag. Actually get to that bag. I say it all the time, man. I got friends that do stay with their parents. I got friends that don't stay with their parents. And I ask about money all the time. Y'all know I ask about money. So I'm asking, man, how much is this? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that? And I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's not that the people that stay with their parents are more well off. Because it's not all, that's not always the case. But I do know that a lot of them that stay with their parents, they say that they have a ease when it comes financially, mentally, and all that stuff, because a lot of people don't agree with each other. They feel like I'm an adult now, so my parents can't tell me what to do. That's where a lot of the issues come in. However, young adults staying with their parents longer, I feel like is the way that American culture needs to start swaying to. I feel like, it's cool to get away from the home and experience life and do all of that. But being in that environment around your parents is allowing you to save a lot more money. It's allowing you, because you're able to do that, you're able to experience more things without feeling financially burdened in a lot of cases. Financially. Now I'm saying financially because I'm strictly talking about the money. I'm not the mentally, a lot of y'all feel like you don't have your privacy and all that, but financially, I think young adults staying with their parents is a sleeper play, especially in America, because I feel like a lot of people look down on that, like, dang, still staying with your parents or something like that. So I think this is a steeper play if you can do, and if your parents are able to, you better take that up with them, because I feel like that is a beautiful thing. I feel like that's a beautiful thing. But let's go ahead and get into this video. Let's see what's going on. Why so many young adults are still living with their parents in the USA. Let's start that trend, y'all. Let's start that trend, and let's make it so that our kids can stay with us as long as they need to get on their feet. That's a whole nother talk, though.
About 1 in 3 Americans between 18 and 34 years old live with their parents.
And while you may have heard more about this recently, this trend isn't new.
Between 2005 and 2015, the share just grew very steeply over this 10-year period. Since then, it's been fairly stable. There was an uptick, of course, during the pandemic. In the wake of the pandemic, those rates of parental co-residence are now about where they were right before. Part of the reason we see this escalation of young adults not leaving the nest or returning to the nest is this idea that it was harder and harder for them to weather shocks.
Nearly 30% of Gen Z said they would like to save, but don't make enough money. And roughly 2 in 5 millennials and Gen Z adults feel it's harder to build financial wealth now than when their parents were their age because of the economy. 27-year-old Victoria Franklin has been living with her mother in New Jersey since she graduated college in 2019.
I saw all of the money that I was saving, and I thought, maybe I should stay home for a little bit, and I didn't feel an urgency to move out.
Not everyone is enthusiastic about this trend.
You guys are making 6 figures together. You can't tell me you can't afford a house. They
Boo.
don't want to spend their money.
Told ya. 36% of Americans said in a 2022 survey that more young adults living with their parents is bad for society. So here's why young Americans are choosing to live with their parents and what the implications are for the U.S. economy.
Man, shouts out to Vicky. Victoria's still staying with her parents. I see you. You doing it right since you graduated until 27. I'm telling you right now, I'm on the same thing. I'm on the same thing. When I left college, y'all, I moved home. I told my mom I was gonna stay there pretty much until I decided to get married. Literally, I'm staying in this house until I decide to get married. Then I will make a decision if I want to leave. That's how I was feeling. Why? If there's room for me to stay here, I might as well stay here and stack this cash. Stack this cash. We can split it however we need to. You get a little off, I get a little off. We building generational wealth now. However, my mom did end up, doing what she do, and now I stay with a roommate who is my brother. Y'all see what I talk about? Y'all see? I told y'all I was willing to stay at home with my mom nonstop. I really didn't want her to leave when she was talking about leaving. I was pissed when she was talking about leaving, actually. Because like I said, I was prepared to stay with her until I get married. Sure was. Staying right at home. Ain't no reason for me to go nowhere. I'm about to stack this cash. Shoot, 1 in 3 Americans now stay at home with their parents. Let's do it. That sounds great to me. I'm about to be all over the place while stacking cash. It's going to be easier to save. It's going to be easier to vacate. It's going to be easier on me to go to the club. It's going to be easier on me to afford a car. It's going to be easier on me to afford groceries. It's going to be easier on me to afford utilities. It's going to be easier on me to be somewhere to live, have a place to live. Hey, that's how I feel about that. I know a lot of y'all, my peace is the greatest thing in the world. My peace. I can't do a roommate or stay with my parents, definitely. I feel sorry for y'all. I do. I feel bad. I feel bad for you because it is a major play in the playbook to just stay with your parents as long as you can. And actually, stack your cash, save, do what you want. Let's continue though.
My name is Victoria Franklin. I am 27 years old, and I live in my childhood home with my mother and my boyfriend.
Victoria graduated from the University of Miami in 2019 and moved in with her mom when she was looking for a job.
After I saw the cost of living and things like that after I graduated, that maybe I'd be home for about a year.
More than half of Gen Z adults say they don't make enough money to live the life they want due to high cost of living.
Hold on. I want to go back to that. More than half of Gen Z adults say they don't make enough to live the life they want due to the high cost of living. This is why I feel bad for y'all, man. This is exactly why I feel bad. Because I know that sucks. I know it does. I know it costs a lot to live out here. It is a high cost of living. Yes, it is. I know this. I know it. I know it's hard, y'all. I know more than half of Gen Z adults to live the life that you want to live. You can't live the life that you want to live. So that sounds like some picking and choosing, y'all. Some picking and choosing. Some of the activity, you got to cut something out. Something got to be cut out. Something does have to be cut out.
Of living.
I ended up bartending and waitressing until October, where I got my first offer. So it did take a little bit longer than I expected. Currently live at the Jersey Shore, and I was commuting into New York City, which takes about 2 hours each way. And I thought, in 6 months or so, I'll move into the city, be closer to the job. And the pandemic threw a wrench in those plans.
Victoria now works a fully remote job, which she says she probably wouldn't have if it weren't for the pandemic. Without a commute to worry about, she was able to stay at her mom's for longer.
It's a lot harder for young people today to save up for, markers of the American dream than it was for previous generations. Part of the reason we see this escalation of young adults not leaving the nest or returning to the nest is this idea that it was harder and harder for them to weather shocks. And so, for example, if they suffered a layoff or they suffer some some sort of health shock or they got in a car accident, if they didn't have any additional credit to weather that shock, they would end up moving back home. The financial stability of young adults, their ability to pay for things if they got into an emergency, was one of the big factors influencing whether or not they were living on their own or living with their parents.
A significant number of Gen Z adults and millennials lack emergency savings. In fact, 46% of millennials and 32% of Gen Z have more credit card debt than emergency savings.
This can have ramifications for setting up a financial future.
I'm telling y'all, that is exactly how I be feeling. First off, you don't have an emergency fund, which, you know, that'll knock you across the head very easily, very easily. The amount of shocks I've had since staying at home, I'm talking about your car breaking down. I don't know, that might be the biggest one for me, was my car. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. A lot of those that do be it, is that car breaking down. I say even during the time that I couldn't find a job, that was very hard time. That I was thankful to be at home. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, thankful to be at home. Saved me a lot. But a lot of people don't have the emergency fund. And it's not that you can't have an emergency fund. No, it is that you can't have an emergency fund. It's not that you don't want an emergency fund that can help you out. It's that you really can't have one because you're living paycheck to paycheck all the time. It's tough out here. And we have a lot of things. Like I said, being an adult, having adult stuff is not easy. I know how many times I hear, man, I wish we could go back when we ain't have to pay no bills. Sure do. You better work together with your parents or somebody else, a roommate or something. Because them emergencies, when they come and shock the mess out of you, I can see it now. You got your own spot. You got your own car. 2 jobs, work hard. She a baddie. But then when an emergency comes, that's when you get tested. You done got in a car accident. You had a battery go out. Be some bull. I'm telling y'all, it be some bull. Emergency, a lot of times the emergencies be some bull. You have a health something come up with your health. Be some bull. You can't go to work for some reason. It be some bull. I have to tell y'all that you can't do anything with it because you can't save. You don't have a way to save that paycheck to paycheck living.
Roughly 1 in 4 Gen Z adults say housing costs are one of the biggest challenges to financial success.
The prices of homes has escalated over the last few decades much faster than actual incomes. So it is actually much harder for a millennial or a Gen Z to save up for a down payment to buy a home. And that's something that bears out in the data.
The pandemic did have a lot to do with it. I saw how much I was saving and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be paying, upwards of $3,000 a month and making somebody else richer when I could stay at home, save that money, and spend it on where I want to spend it. Between my job and my bartending and waitressing, I make anywhere from $85,000 to $95,000 a year. I would say about 40 to 50% of my salary is going right into savings. My mentality is, why rent and give my money to someone else when I can start to own? And so a big chunk of that money is going to go towards a down payment on a house.
Young adults ages 25 to 34 in high cost of living areas are.
I just want to say, y'all, her thought process on that whole thing, it makes sense. I think it laid out, pretty much. It does make sense. Like, let's be real. Renting is not cheap at all. Renting is not cheap. I would totally be fine with staying at a home, probably paying that same rent price, then paying that rent price to somebody else. And if you stay at home, that rent price usually is kind of cut right on in half. cut on in half, and you can save that to do things that you want. Renting's expensive. Your housing is expensive. And nobody ever thinks about what else comes with that. You know, yeah, let's be real, your rent's $2,000. But then you have electricity, water, internet. I don't know if you got to do security over on those, but those three things, those three things pretty much hit me. What's another one? My trash bill. I still have a gas bill as well. All that stuff, man. All that stuff adds up. Definitely adds up on a person. That just comes with housing. So being able to cut a lot of those things in half, it's a lot bigger than you would think. So
are more likely to live with their parents. Nearly 26% of young adults in New Jersey were living with at least one of their parents in 2022. The median household income in Oceanport, New Jersey, where the Franklins live, was nearly $133,000 in 2022, while the median value of a home in the region was around $644,000.
Yeah, my dad built this house for $350,000 and was making probably $10,000 to $15,000 less than I was. My mom wasn't working at the time, and they were able to afford a $350,000 house on a $70,000 a year salary with a son. And that's not even the American dream anymore. That's not even possible. My aunt, who I fight with all the time, is always saying how you have to give somewhere, right? And my cousin said something to her the other day and said, we're giving everywhere. We don't get property. We don't get good school systems. Whatever we're trading off is too much to trade off.
Victoria had brought up some conflict with her aunt a few times.
Oh, this is my Aunt Judy.
So I asked Aunt Judy to come on over and talk to us.
I talked about how much we fight
drama,
about
y'all.
millennials, yes, but millennials living at home, and how you always say, well, you have to sacrifice something, but how much we're sacrificing. Like, we don't get like a big property, or we don't get like a nice house, or it's not in a good school system. You have to start somewhere. You have to start anywhere. Just start your portfolio is what I told you. I don't care what it is. You don't have to live in Oceanport your first time.
No, but you were able to live in Oceanport the first time.
Okay, I guess it was different times.
Gen X and baby boomers may have a tougher time understanding what young adults are going through today because they enjoyed, until the pandemic recession hit, a solid almost 15 years of uninterrupted economic expansion. Baby boomers, Gen X, they weathered many economic downturns, including major recessions. But I think the big difference is that when they were starting to form their own households and starting to accumulate wealth, housing and higher ed were both more affordable relative to their incomes than they are now.
When I started out, I was making $35,000.
That's what I'm saying, y'all. Did y'all see what Aunt Judy pulled up in? How are you talking trash, Aunt Judy? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. When I see what Aunt Judy pulling up in at Aunt Judy age, I don't want to be Aunt Judy. I'm not trying to take no advice from Aunt Judy. She want us to struggle and do all this. Look at Aunt Judy at your age. I do not want to be driving that. Got the front bumper hanging off. I know y'all see this. Aunt Judy, do you think we about to take advice from you to criticize us? Talking about some start your portfolio. I'm about to stay at home and start this stock portfolio with all this money I'm saving, Aunt Judy. That's what I'm about to do. That way, by the time hopefully I'm your age, they paying for me. At least my stocks and stuff, so they paying for me. Because golly, you talking about sacrifice? I'm about to sacrifice my mental. I'm about to sacrifice having my own. Everybody loves, oh yeah. I'm about to sacrifice that dummy American dream stuff that everybody keeps talking about, all that stuff. I'm going to sacrifice that. So I'm not driving what you driving, Aunt Judy.
$1,000 a year. That was nothing. And he was making $35,000 a year. You guys are making six figures together. You can't tell me you can't afford a house.
They just don't want to spend their money.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Aunt
No,
Judy
no,
hating.
What was my first house? 250, maybe 270.
that doesn't exist anymore. Where am I finding a $270,000
I'm
house?
not making $35,000 a year. Combined, we made 70.
In 1995, $70,000 was the equivalent of $145,000 today.
Yeah, look at that. See?
Now look at Aunt Judy. Aunt Judy, I bet if you would have had someplace to stay a little longer, you would have been a little bit more well off. I bet if you would have had somewhere that you could stay. That's what I'm saying. We need to start looking at these older generations like, golly, you ain't give us nothing. Yes, y'all. Okay, y'all. Let me take that back. Chop that up. Chop that up. Chop that up and spread that, y'all. Chop that up and spread that up. But it's somewhere, I'm telling y'all, somewhere down the line, a generation failed. Somewhere down the line, a generation failed. I ain't found it all the way yet, but I'm gonna find out which generation failed in this whole scheme of things. Because I feel like, you know, it's kind of been the same somewhere in here. We in the same somewhere in here, not progressing forward. And it's people like Auntie Judy that I feel like would be holding us back. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm staying at home until I'm married. I'm staying at home. And then after that, because my mom don't stay with me, I still might stay at home for a year. Still might. Super stacking at that point. Y'all already know how that be. That's a super stacker. I already can afford what's being paid. You better be saving every licking up that you getting. We gonna save up and we gonna do good. But this is one of the problems. Forcing people up out of the house, telling them you need to go get a house. It don't matter what it looked like. It can be run down. I was able to afford back then. Whoop-de-whoop. This, all that. Back then, back down. And then I look at you now and I say, well, I don't want to be in your spot, Auntie Judy, so I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to stack this cash. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to see the world that I want to see. I'm going to wait until I'm ready, until I'm financially stable, till I got this emergency fund, till I got this down payment saved up so I don't have to take out as much, so I can do things the right way. And my parent not complaining. Auntie Judy, who are you to talk to me?
We do also have a situation that what is really good for an individual person or an individual family is not necessarily good for the entire macroeconomy.
The Federal Reserve estimates in a 2019 paper that young adults who move out of their parents' house would spend around $13,000 more per year on things such as housing, food, and transportation.
One of the big...
Nah, we going back to that. That needs to be, this is the amount of money that you are saving. How much y'all, this right here, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is why my lady go on vacation 13 times this year. I'm telling y'all, how much y'all average vacation cost? Like $1,000? This is why she went on 13 vacations this year. Every month she was in a different spot. Because young people who move out of their parents' house would spend about $13,000 more per year on things such as housing, food, and transportation. We're not gonna act like $13,000 ain't no knock across the head. Let's not act like that $13,000 ain't no money in your pocket. This is why when we start to look at the numbers, I'm telling y'all, $13,000 is a lot of money for you to do the things that you want to do, or to have an emergency fund of $200, or to pay off some debt so you know you can actually afford a house because your debt to income ratio will be fixed. Pay down some debt, have an emergency fund, enjoy yourself a little bit, eat a little better. Maybe you don't gotta eat ramen noodles every day for dinner because you want to stay by yourself and have a nice apartment in Atlanta that you can live in. That's only one room, 4 walls, that you just in, that you can't afford living paycheck to paycheck, and you're $13,000 in the hole in comparison to the richest Steve in Atlanta. This is why I'm the richest Steve in Atlanta, y'all. I'm gonna be the richest Steve in Atlanta. You feel me? This is why they know me, because hey, I would say I'm $13,000 more per year than you. That's staying by yourself. Yes, I am. I say 13,000 more per year than you do. Because you got to spend it. I don't got to spend it. That's just how it is. I don't got to spend it. Staying at home as long as possible.
There's more per year on things such as housing, food, and transportation.
One of the big boosts to consumer spending is when people form households. Whether you're a renter or a buyer, you need to furnish that house. You need to fix things up in the home to make it livable. You end up spending a lot of money during that time. So if the pace of household formation slows down, then that's going to slow down the pace of consumer spending, and that will produce a drag on the economy.
Another issue is that there aren't enough affordable properties in popular areas for younger people who are in entry-level jobs and making less money.
Any sort of housing policy needs to be multi-pronged. Are there homes that are at the price point of these prospective home buyers? What can we do to increase the housing supply? What can we do to build? What can we do to help elder Americans, to help them downsize and move into more right-sized homes that will open up larger homes for young families? So I think one alone is not really going to do it. We've got to look both at demand as well as supply.
The other major factor here is how much student loan debt young Americans have. 59%.
Hold on, y'all. Oh, gosh. I don't know why I still got a fear of that word, y'all. I don't know why I still have a fear of that word. I don't even have to worry about student loans anymore. Because I did exactly what they said. What they talking about on here. I stayed with my folks and I saved $13,000 a year. And instead of spending that $13,000 a year on vacationing, I spent it on paying off my student loans in 3 years. %59% of U.S. adults have delayed financial milestones due to their student debt. Dang. Just think about if you stay down 3 years staying at home to pay off your student loan debt, and then you can start saving for your financial milestones because you're not held back by debt.
Of U.S. adults say they've delayed financial milestones because of their student debt.
I do have a student loan payment. It's about $480 a month. So that's my largest expense.
The liability could be worse for Black borrowers, who tend to have higher than average student loan debt and less wealth than white counterparts. Black and Hispanic respondents were more likely to say that debt was holding them back from reaching financial milestones. Less than half of white respondents said the same.
The amount of debt young adults held also rose substantially between 2005 and 2014, during that period of strong escalation in that cohort living with their parents.
Aggregate student loans are such an enormous part of the economy now. And that's not a reflection of younger people making bad choices with their education. It's really a consequence in large part due to the fact that there's less public funding and going to college just is more expensive, which makes it even harder for even those college grads who are hoping to get earning more money as a result of their college degrees.
Student loan debt by itself can't explain the phenomenon, especially considering so many European countries with much less student loan debt have higher rates of young adults living with their parents.
24 out of 29 European countries had more 18 to 34-year-olds living with their parents in 2021 than the US. It was over 70% in Italy, Portugal, Greece, Serbia, and Croatia.
My boyfriend is Brazilian, and multi-generational homes.
Hold on, let's look at that. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I say we lagging behind, y'all. having more people that can afford to stay outside of the home, yeah, that I guess that's good. You know, that's cool and all. But I'm telling you, as a society, I think people are better off when they are able to, I'm gonna steal her word because she said generational wealth by staying at home or staying in the family unit. But that also has to do with the family unit. This is why I feel like our generation has to fix the family unit to make the family unit more viable for financial growth as a family. We are in a position now where you get to somewhere that's halfway successful. Instead of putting money forward, you have to put money back. So when I'm in a position to have a family, I don't want them to have to be pushing money backwards. I want them to be pushing it forward to the next generations. That means allowing your kid to stay in the house. And the only reason you giving them bills to pay is to teach them some responsibility. But other than that, use your money how you want to. As long as you following some financial principles. I just feel like that family unit is definitely something important. A lot of our family units are all crooked and jacked up. That's why people don't want to stay at home. So that's why I feel y'all. I feel y'all with a lot of what the parents have going on. You know, you growing up in that space just wasn't the best for you. However, you can be the one to change this. And even if you know that it's on the fence, I would advise you think about that $13,000 extra that you can have in your pocket.
Over 70% in Italy, Portugal, Greece, Serbia, and Croatia.
My boyfriend is Brazilian, and multi-generational homes are very common in almost everywhere else in the world, except in the United States. So I'm just taking a page of their playbook.
The Americans are probably the only people that they're not multi-generations in one house. And I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think it's kind of nice. Why do we have to be so cold to push everybody out?
You know, there are a lot of cultures out there in which it is normal to live with your parents until you get married. And I don't think there's necessarily an economic explanation for that.
The Franklins would say in the US, it is the economy. But Victoria's mom is kind of okay with it.
Unfortunately, it is the economy and the world that we live in that just doesn't allow them to go live a comfortable life. So with them living here was no big deal. It's not really a problem. They're saving their money. Eventually they'll buy a house, and that works.
Yep, it sure do. It works for me. It works for you. I be trying to stay with my focus pretty much, you know, forever. You know, everybody trying to do them family compounds and all those things. Those are pretty cool. But you got your own house over here and over there. Y'all, everybody can intermingle and do what they do. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that I would love to see myself doing. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, is staying at home as a young adult until I get married. That just is what it is. And I definitely encourage anybody to, if you can and you're not taking advantage of it, go home. The other option is to get a roommate, but we're not talking about that today. Y'all get a roommate. The biggest lesson in this is to cut out that housing expense, because that housing expense is knocking you across the head. But staying with your parents is always a thing where you've already grew up with them. You already kind of know what's going on. If they respect you and you can respect them, that's even more a plus. So yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Y'all know, let me know how y'all feel. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about staying at home. If you do stay at home, let me know your experience. If you don't, let me know why. I really want to know why, you know. And if you tell me, because I got a roommate, I'll say, all right, well, you got something going on that you understand that you need to cut that housing down.